Okay, so I will formally start the meeting now. So I'd just like to say welcome everyone to what is the 65th annual meeting of the Alumni Association. Really appreciate everyone joining. I know we've got people joining from all over the world this evening, so thank you so much. We made the decision this year to hold our annual meeting purely online to make it as inclusive as possible and give people the opportunity, like I say, from our alumni community from all over the world to join and participate, which is something that's very important to us, given that we have alumni in every corner of the globe, and that's something that we want to always make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible. Before I kick off the meeting proper, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping items just to make the meeting run as well as possible for everyone. Obviously, the obvious one in terms of Zoom, if people could keep their microphones on mute, we will be obviously unmuting the speakers at relevant points. But if everyone that's joined the meeting could ensure their microphone is on mute. But we would, of course, invite you to, if you'd like to turn your camera on. There may be a screenshot or two taking place later for the purposes of LinkedIn. So yeah, if you'd like to have your camera on and see who else is with us, that's absolutely fantastic. So yes, as I said, welcome to the annual alumni meeting. My name is Martin Cullen. I'm the chair of the Alumni Association and also therefore the chair of the Alumni Association Committee. I'll be leading the meeting today, and I will be later on doing a presentation on some of the work that the Alumni Association committee has been doing over the course of the past 12 months. But before then, there are a few presentations, Q&As, etc. I'd like to, before I jump into those, just say a special thank you to one of our speakers this evening, our new University Chancellor, Dr. Maggie Aderin-Pocock, who I'm delighted is joining us this evening to make some remarks. It makes it a 2 out of 2 because Maggie did join us for our an alumni dinner back in May. So it's great that we've kept the run going. Although a little bit of pressure to keep that streak up. So we'll hopefully be seeing you at lots more alumni events moving forwards. And also, of course, we'll be hearing from our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nishan Canagarajah later. And thank you, as always, to Nishan for his support of the alumni community at the university, always engaging with the alumni events, which we really value. But I know that's because he really values the alumni as a huge part of the university's not only story, but future as well. But anyway, first up tonight, I am going to hand over to Steve Corbett, who is the Director of Development and Alumni Relations, to give
don't put it down. Don't put it down, Colin.
No, so you can see yourself.
Oh. Sorry, guys, just repeat the housekeeping one. If we could keep microphones on mute. Okay, great. Sorry, and there is also actually a summary of the agenda for this evening, which just gives you a rundown of what we'll be doing over the course of this meeting, which we're expecting to last for about an hour. But yeah, so like I say, first of all, I would like to hand over to Steve Corbett, Director of Development and Alumni Relations, to make some remarks and give an update to alumni about his work since joining the university, since the last AGM. But it's been I'm not saying he's new to the university because it was not long after the last AGM. So Steve, over to you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Yes, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Very happy to be speaking to you here today. Yes, as Martin says, last time I spoke to you all in this forum, I was very new in post indeed. I think it had been just a matter of weeks. So it was a fantastic way to kind of kick off my tenure as Director of Alumni Relations and Development. At that point, I'd already fallen in love with the institution, which seems to be a common factor amongst most people who are lucky enough to get involved with the university. But at that point, I also knew I had a rather exciting journey ahead of me, getting to know the institution and our community better. And I'm pleased today to say the last year has been just that. It's been a fantastic year. So thank you to all those who've contributed to that and have made me feel very welcome. But I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you, our alumni community, in person over the last year, both at events here in the UK. As Martin mentioned, we had our alumni dinner in London, which was fantastic. We had our Alumni and Supporters Day last year on campus. But also we had a trip to the US back in May with the Vice-Chancellor, which was fantastic. We held alumni events in both Washington, DC and in New York. So thank you to all those who came out to meet us and your fellow alumni, many of whom I know have been staying in touch with each other in their respective cities since, which is wonderful. And we hope to do more both there and in other places around the world. We were made to feel very welcome in those cities, which is the other common factor I've noted this past year. The warmth and support and goodwill amongst our university community is truly palpable, and we're very grateful for this, and we hope that we can reciprocate with welcoming you to any opportunity we have to engage with you. But no matter what you studied here, what course you were on, the fond memories you have of your alma mater are always wonderful to hear, from touching the lucky tree in Victoria Park before your exams to riding on the Paternoster. All of these experiences that you share with us have helped me feel much closer to the institution this past year and to understand its unique DNA. So thank you very much indeed for that. But this coming academic year is an exciting moment for Leicester. As we look forward towards our next 100 years, we'll be embarking on our largest campaign since the university's founding, which we're very excited about. Our ambition will be to enable some transformative projects, from important research, scholarship opportunities, to enhancing our estate and facilities over the next few years, and to really take us into our next century to effect some positive change for our community and for society at large. We would love very much for our alumni to be as involved as possible in that. So if you'd like to find out more, please do let us know. We will certainly be sharing more in the coming months as we look to launch the campaign. Yeah, it's an exciting moment for us. But as you all know, there are a number of other ways that you can get involved with us in the future, from volunteering opportunities to getting involved in international alumni chapters. So please do look out for announcements about those in the coming months as well. But really, I just wanted to say thank you very much for staying in touch, for continuing to be involved. It really is a lifelong relationship, something that's very important to all of us here. So thank you very much indeed. And I would now like to hand over to our President and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Nishan Canagarajah.
Thank you very much, Steve. Good afternoon. It's afternoon, 6 p.m. or 6:09 to be precise in the UK, in Leicester. Wherever you are, I hope it's afternoon, morning. It's lovely to see you all virtually. And as Steve mentioned, it's a real pleasure to say a few words and give you an update on the university developments recently. And I also thank our Chancellor, Maggie Aderin-Pocock, for joining us in this meeting. She's been absolutely fantastic. As Martin said, she was at the annual alumni dinner, and we formally installed her as our Chancellor in our July ceremony, which was an amazing experience, and I think we will all cherish it for many years to come. So great to see you, Maggie. It may sound cliche, but I won't repeat. Alumni is a key part of this institution. You all know that, and we all know that, how important that community is for this university. Your successes and your achievements reflect well on this university, your alma mater. And we are incredibly proud of the engagement you have with this institution. And I'm incredibly happy and pleased to have you join us this afternoon. And it's difficult to be precise, but I estimate we have about 200,000 alumni across 197 countries in the world. And during the summer celebrations, graduation ceremonies, we added another 4,000 to that number. So every year, we are adding more and more to our global alumni community who will go out in the world and become citizens of change and make an impression in whatever they do in their sphere of field. And I don't have a time to give you a full update on the amazing work our alumni do. And I think that is something we will want to capture regularly in our communications with you and the wider university. But I'm very proud and humbled by the fantastic work our alumni do in supporting our university through volunteering program, acting as mentors for our students and staff, and in many cases, making donations to the university to continue our academic activity. And I think you help this university to become even more successful. And the support you provide goes back into this institution to support our students, support our staff, support our teaching activity and research activity. Now, obviously, we regularly update you through the email and newsletter what's going on in the university. So I hope you're getting all the information you need. But if at any point you feel you would prefer more communication or updates, do let us know. We'll see how we can do that more effectively. But now that I have this opportunity, I just want to give you some highlights of the last year to reflect the success of the university in the last academic year. Naturally, as alumni, you would be very keen to know how well the university is doing in league tables, which is one indicator of our reputation and success. And I'm delighted to tell you this university continues to be very high performing in all the domestic and international league tables. And one particular league table that I think reflects well on this university, our mission and our ambition, is our Times World University Rankings. And that is something that is done by a survey of many thousands of people around the world about the universities they know in the world and their reputation. And I'm delighted that this university was ranked number 22 in the UK in the Times Higher University ranking. Now, some of you will know we have 24 Russell Group universities, and for Leicester to be 22 clearly indicates we are performing on par, if not better, than some of the Russell Group universities. And again, that is because of the hard work of my staff and students that help us to maintain that position. Now, the league tables are published frequently, and some of you might have seen that in the domestic league table, a new league table appeared 2 weeks ago from the Daily Mail. And obviously, people will have different views on Daily Mail and how to take it seriously or not. But there is a very good write-up about Leicester as an up-and-coming university, which is becoming attractive to many students and staff in this country. So it's good to see that even new league tables are referring to Leicester as a great success. And I'm also pleased to tell you that every year, as you know, we recruit students into this university and they get the results in August. And then we have a process of selecting the students, and those who don't quite meet the grades or those who want to change the institution, there's a period called clearing period during which they can move to different universities. And until that process is completed, we will not know for sure how many students will join Leicester. But I'm delighted to tell you that in this university, we recruited a record number of students this year. We, for the first time, recruited 5,050 students to come and join this university as undergraduates. They're all home students, or majority of the 5,000 home students want to come and study in this university. I think that is a reflection on the success of the university, and also as a reflection on how much they regard it's a place to where they want to go and get their degree from. And just to give you a comparison, 4 years ago, we recruited 2,900 students. So it's a massive growth. In the last 5 years, we have grown our undergraduate student recruitment by about 45%. And that's because nationally and internationally, students want to be part of this institution. And I'm really pleased that and grateful to all the hard work from my staff to make that possible. And in research, again, there are always, I get emails of research awards and successes. Just one example, Professor Claire Anderson was this year elected as a fellow of the British Academy. We have Professor Hong Dong has become a fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering. So there are many successes that reflects the quality caliber of the high quality staff here who are winning major awards and successes. And this year, we also decided to promote our research by launching research institutes. They allow us to catalyze some of the cross-disciplinary activity that go across the university in space, in health, in heritage, in environmental science, to promote that as an opportunity to showcase the Leicester strength in research activities And that is going from strength to strength. And again, we will be happy to give you more information on the great strides they are making in the field of research. And just one example that I would want to pick up to highlight to you how successful we are. The National Institute of Health Research have a flagship programs called Biomedical Research Institute. They are programs, funding given to universities to work with local trust, healthcare trust, to translate the fundamental research that we do in the university for treatment and care of patients. It's a very competitive process, and they only awarded 20 nationally. 5 years ago, we received 11 million. This year in the competition, last year, we got 26 million. There were only 20 awarded nationally, and only one university that is not in the Russell Group, and that was Leicester. And I just hope that reflects for you the caliber of the work that goes on here, that is deemed to be internationally leading, world-changing, but not only world-changing in an academic sense, but it is translating to improve lives and the treatment of individuals who are suffering in many different ways. So as I said, unfortunately, I don't have time to go through in more detail. Like, for example, in space, we have many success stories. Recently, you might have seen the JUICE mission to Jupiter. Our colleague, Professor Emma Bunce, was leading one of the work streams. And recently, we have launched a heritage hub to promote the work we do in museum studies and archaeology, and work with local partners to promote the activity in this region. Again, that is going from strength to strength. So I hope that gives you an indication of your alma mater is still performing well academically, still regarded well nationally and internationally, and continue to receive success after success. And I noticed somebody has asked me the question why Leicester is not in the Russell Group. Very good question, and that's what I wonder as well. But I am taking it as my mission to kind of engage with the Russell Group and other wider community to highlight that this university has the caliber. So hopefully in time you will see some progress, but it is not within my gift, unfortunately, but it will not stop me from pushing the case for Leicester. I'm also delighted that we had very good engagement with the alumni. So Martin mentioned the Alumni Awards in London. We had amazing, very successful event, and it's delightful to hear the success of our alumni community. And it was nice to be able to recognize them and celebrate their achievements in that award ceremony. But we also had other opportunities to celebrate the alumni. So last year, we opened our Freeman's Village, which is a fantastic. I encourage you to come and visit that. If you're in the UK or if you're visiting Leicester, please come and see it. It's absolutely a state-of-the-art teaching and learning center. And it also has about 1,500 beds for our student residences. It's becoming very popular. Students like the fact that residents are so close to the university campus, but equally our Oadby Village remains a successful student accommodation as well. And as part of that Freeman's launch, we wanted to recognize and celebrate the achievements of our alumni. So we decided to name quite a few of our student residences in honoring some of our alumni. So for example, we had Mary Attenborough for the work that she did in this university. I think you know there's a lot of recognition of the Attenborough family in the university, but we felt it is good to recognize Mary Attenborough, a philanthropist who's done a lot of good work for the Leicester City, but also for the university, and sometimes didn't get the recognition she fully deserved. So one of the blocks is named after Mary Attenborough. Our first Black Student Union president, Eswa Goldsmith, we unveiled the residences in her name. And we also had a resident under in the name of Sir Jeff Palmer. He's a pioneering researcher. He's Scotland's first Black professor and human rights and equality champion. And he was delighted. In fact, when he came to open the block, he said when he joined the university in the 60s, he was one of only two Black students in his university. And it was great to be able to celebrate his achievements and honor him by naming one of the blocks after him. So I hope you will feel that we are taking every opportunity to honor our alumni in whatever ways we can. That is not the only way we will honor them, but there are other ways we will celebrate your achievements as well. So please continue to remain in touch and tell us how we can engage with you more effectively. The other highlight I would like to pick is that this year we graduated the first cohort of the Medicine with Foundation program. So this program launched 6 years ago, for students who will never get an opportunity to do a medical degree in the UK. Getting into medicine is one of the most difficult subjects in the country. It's the quota is limited, the numbers are limited, and it's a very, very high demand. Even in Leicester, we have a strong demand for this program. But equally, we're concerned there are some students who have the ability, because their family background or socioeconomic background have never been been able to pursue their ambition in medicine. So 6 years ago, this program started with 15 students, and we also were lucky to get funding from one of the local trusts called Stonygate Trust. They provided funding for these students because otherwise these students would not have been able to complete their degree. I'm proud to tell you those students graduated this August after 6 years. And they're going to be great ambassadors for this institution. We had a celebration and they were eternally grateful for the opportunity this university has given them. In fact, I can tell you other universities are keen to know how to follow, adopt, or run a similar program. Not only we celebrated their achievements, the Stonygate Trust were impressed with the work that we have done. Now they have given us 4 million to set up the Stonygate Trust for Center for Empathic Healthcare. This will be the only unique program in the country where we will embed empathy in medical teaching and healthcare teaching. Already, national policymakers are talking to us to say this is a critical element and we need to understand how do we embed empathy in the education, how do we do research on empathy and what impact that has, and how do we measure empathy. These are not easy questions, but I'm delighted to tell you Leicester is at the vanguard, taking the lead and already get noticed nationally and internationally. And I'm very grateful for Stonygate Trust for giving us the funding to make this possible. My final example that I want to leave you with is I'm a trustee of a charity called Into University. It allows children from the primary school and secondary school from difficult, low socioeconomic backgrounds, difficult family circumstances, give them extra support so they can pursue higher education later on in life. There are 39 centers nationally. There are no centers in Leicester. And I felt it's a missed opportunity. And I'm pleased to tell you, within partnership with our other local university, De Montfort University, we will be setting up an Into University Center in the northwest of Leicester, because that is the most deprived part of Leicester. And the reason I'm mentioning that, it has been possible not only because of our ambition, the partnerships that we have developed, but local philanthropists have given us significant donation to make this possible. And this is going to transform lives in Leicester. This will make a difference to that community. And I'm pleased that this university will take a lead in making that a reality for those children in those neighborhoods. Steve mentioned the fundraising campaign. The university higher education system in the UK is going through a very difficult period. The public sector is facing many challenges to support healthcare, primary and secondary education. And then clearly the universities need additional funding as well. Since 2010, the student tuition fee hasn't changed. It has remained flat at £9,250. But in the meantime, the staff costs and the utility bills and the running cost is going up with inflation. There's a big gap between the cost and the income the universities have. And you will read in the national and papers how some of the universities are finding it challenging, and they have to take drastic action to deal with its challenge, financial challenge. We're in a strong position financially as a result of the good student recruitment, but we are not in a position where, like some of the other universities with massive cash surplus or operating cash, to take strategic investments in priority areas to support students. So for example, there are students with significant difficulty, financial difficulty. We would like to offer more support for them during the cost of living crisis. There are many staff who need additional support. And I think within the university, we have ambition to grow our research endeavor. We have opportunities to grow our teaching activity. And we would really think this is an opportune moment for the university to launch our next fundraising campaign. So our new fundraising campaign called 2021, Founders of the Future. We will be transforming many lives. And I really would encourage you to contribute as much as you can and participate, not just in terms of financially, but through your ideas and your engagement, because this will make a difference. We celebrated our 100 years last year. I want to make sure this university have a successful second century. And we all can play an important role in making that possible. And we will share more details with you. At the moment, we are starting in a quiet phase, but I'm already pleased to tell you that a number of people have already come forward to lend their support and encouragement to this fundraising campaign. So over the next 7 years, we hope to raise 100 million to support our ambition as a world-leading institution. You are an important part, as I said before, of this institution. Our success and our future will be defined through the engagement we have with you and through the support we have with you. And I want to make sure that we continue to engage with you. And I'm delighted that our alumni committee is well served by the Alumni Association through Martin's officers and other people. We will continue to engage with you and see how we can work together to support this institution. As Steve said, I was in United States, Washington, New York in May this year. It was delightful to meet so many of our alumni who had fond memories of this university, want to continue to engage with the university. And during COVID, we have not been able to engage with them as much as possible. So we would continue to engage with our alumni around the world. And this is a key part of our international strategy. Now that we have come out of COVID, I'll be prioritizing this as one of my activities. And that is why recently we appointed Professor Henrietta O'Connor as my Provost and Deputy Vice-Chancellor to work with my other Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Kerry Law, to make sure the university has the right leadership when I prioritize some of the international engagement activities. So finally, thank you very much for your engagement. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if there are any questions, Martin, I'll be delighted to answer.
Thank you, Vice-Chancellor. Just in the interest of time, we've had quite a few questions, but I'm just going to pick out a couple. And if we can keep the answers relatively succinct, that'd be great, because we want to make sure we get through the agenda. But the first question that has been picked out is one around if there's any attempt to establish regional or sub-regional chapters for building alumni relations and measures to support corporate funding and academic research partnerships in those regions with the university, and if so, how that would work. So is there anything going on in the background around that kind of initiative?
So I think Steve Corbett probably can give you a more detailed answer. I think, as I said, we are exploring how to engage, I think, with our partners in Africa, in Malaysia, and USA. And I think there have been some chapters recently established in Malaysia, if I remember correctly. But Steve, are you able to give more up-to-date information on the chapters, please?
Yes, so thank you, Nishan. So the chapters is an initiative that we are looking to roll out. As Vice-Chancellor has said, we're looking to do a lot more travel around the world. And so we are starting to think about where we have sort of warm groups of alumni who would like to get together more frequently and would like to stay closer in touch with the university. So there are numerous ways that we can set these up. And if anybody is interested, please do contact the office. But by and large, we sort of look for 3 volunteers who would be happy to be sort of a chair of a particular chapter and help us to establish that core group. And then we'll build that out from there. But we like to look at them in terms of where perhaps where certain cities are in different countries, because obviously if we have a chapter that's got too broad a scope, physically they wouldn't be able to get together. So it depends on what individuals would like from a chapter, but it is absolutely something that we can help you explore if you are interested. So please do get in touch.
Brilliant. Thank you both. And then I think we'll just squeeze one more question in, Vice-Chancellor. So there's a question around, and I appreciate this could be a long answer, but again, if we can just kind of pick key points, that'd be great. What is the university doing about climate change? Is it putting solar panels on its buildings, for example? So do you want to do a very brief summary of the work the university is doing around kind of sustainability, etc.?
Yeah, we're doing quite well. It's a great question. I think it's one of our strategic priorities, and we are committing to be net zero by 2040, although the UK government has set 2050. Just to give you some examples of the innovative work that goes on in the university, sustainability is embedded in every degree program. So we make sure every student gets an opportunity to learn and contribute to that important agenda. In terms of the university, we are looking at all our estates, and we have reconfigured some of our estate. Some of our estate, we are no longer able to use it because it's not really the most effective use of our building. We haven't done solar panel that I'm aware of recently, but Freeman's development, for example, is state of the art in terms of sustainability. But again, I can provide more information, specific details later, Martin.
Great, thank you very much, and apologies for all those questions we didn't get to ask, but but I'm sure we can. The alumni team can pick those up and respond to people with any questions that we are able to give you an answer to. Okay, so we are now going to move on to the next section of the meeting. So thank you again to President and Vice Chancellor for that. It's much appreciated by myself, and I know by the alumni community. But it is now my pleasure to move on to some remarks from the University Chancellor, Dr. Maggie Aderin-Pocock, and welcome you to your first Alumni Association AGM. Thank you again so much for agreeing to give some remarks this evening. And the floor is yours.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone, and I'd like to say how wonderful it is to be virtually connected to you wherever you are in the world. And I want to talk about my background, because I set this starry backdrop up very early in the advent of virtual calls. Firstly, because I am always reaching for the stars, so it seemed apt that was reflected in all the virtual calls I did. But secondly, I'm quite a messy person, and I'm especially messy in my study. So this backdrop hides a sort of a multitude of mess behind. But on a more serious note, virtual calls are actually, they bring out a serious point, that technology is transforming the lives and the way we communicate, connect and interact with each other. And this is especially true in the sort of work I do, the work in space. Because I'm involved in technologies that peer deep into space. And with these technologies, we're able to get a better understanding of what lies beyond our planet and some of the worlds that lie beyond there. But technology is also making a real difference here on Earth by monitoring climate change, by understanding our planet, and also satellites that enable communication, bringing internet to more and more people around the world. And this is important because it enables medicine, jobs, and most importantly, education. Because education is about breaking barriers. It's about bringing people together to increase our understanding. And it's something that I think that Leicester has excelled in throughout its history. I'm so proud to be part of this amazing institution's strong legacy of humanity. For instance, how it formed after the devastation of the First World War to make the world a better place. How that legacy has been kept alive over 100 years by providing opportunities for the displaced and the disenfranchised. And how this institution has become a university of sanctuary, providing hope for people from diverse lands, including Ukraine, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Now, throughout this time, it's you, the alumni, that have been shaping, guiding at the university. Through your philanthropy, your support and advice, you have influenced the direction of the university and ensured that its humanity is at the core of its being. And it fills me with enormous pride, and that's what attracted me to Leicester to become its Chancellor. It's this capacity. And in this capacity, I will continue the university's mission to ensure equality and inclusivity are hallmarks of all that we do. Now, the Vice-Chancellor spoke very eloquently of how the university is going from strength to strength, and how you, the alumni, play a vital role in shaping that vision for Leicester. And I'm delighted to be part of that network. I was also blown away when I was at the award ceremony earlier this year by all your many achievements. And so I'm delighted to be part of this network of influencers and the citizens of change that make a real difference. It's your spirit that helps drive the mission of this university to be a champion for inclusivity and diversity by ensuring that education empowers others. Now, if we had more time, I'd tell you about the transformative role that education played in my life and why it's so important to me. How I had a bit of a rocky start and attended 13 different schools. And I was able to get my degree in physics and my PhD in mechanical engineering, and then go on to my dream job to become a space scientist, making novel bespoke instrumentation for spacecraft like the James Webb Space Telescope. And also sort of down here on Earth, sort of handheld landmine detectors and also missile warning systems. I'd also love to talk about my passion for being a science communicator and the joy I feel going out across the world and having spoken to over 500,000 people over the past 18 years. But instead, I'd like to share an idea with you, because I think this idea is quite powerful and may resonate with many of you. And now people ask me how a Black dyslexic girl which no one expected much from became a space scientist. And for me, it was all about a passion of mine, a passion for space, which I got right from the get-go. Growing up in the UK, I didn't actually feel I belonged anywhere. I wasn't truly Nigerian like my parents, but I wasn't really British. And so it was that vision of space that sort of put things into perspective for me. In space, you don't see the barriers, you don't see the divisions. You just see a planet, you see a globe, and you just see this amazing world. And to me, it breaks down those barriers. We are just a member of the human race. And when we work together, we make the world a better place. And it's this philosophy, I think, that makes space, the work I do in space so powerful, because space connects people and it shows us what we can do. And as I travel across the world, giving talks to a wide, diverse range of people, I use the power of space to empower people so they can realize their ambitions. I try and get those kids to literally reach for the stars. Now, I believe that that we share the same goals. So we could say that it was my destiny to become Chancellor of Leicester. It was actually written in the stars. So I'd like to end by thanking you for all your time and patience, for the wonderful, wonderful work that you do in supporting the university. And I know you don't do it for appreciation or a reward, but be assured you're helping to change lives and making people's lives better. I'd also like to thank the team that enabled all this to happen. And thank you for your long commitment and continuing the wonderful work that you do. Thank you to you all.
Thank you, Maggie. That was fantastic. Great comments. Really, really fantastic that we, I know everyone in the university community is delighted that you've joined the university's Chancellor, and we really appreciate you speaking to us tonight. And like I've said on many occasions, we really do hope to see you at lots of alumni events over the year. We don't expect you to keep the 100% up. We know you've got a few other things going on as well, but we really do appreciate your time this evening. And I think we haven't actually got time on the agenda for a Q&A session with Maggie, but I'm sure if there are any questions that have come into the chat, that the team will link those up, and if it's feasible for answers to be sent over, then we can certainly do that. Great, thank you. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the next part of the agenda, which is a formality in terms of approving the minutes of the last year's annual meeting. These have been published online ahead of the meeting. So the procedure that we use is that we haven't received any kind of comments or objections. So I am going to assume, because of that we're happy to adopt these. These minutes have been passed via the Alumni Association Committee straight after the meeting last year, or our first committee meeting following the AGM. But just to formally say that we've presented those to today's meeting, we haven't had any comments or feedback ahead of time. Okay, so the next item of business is my report. Now, what I'm going to do during this report is I'm going to just give a summary of some of the work that's been carried out by the Alumni Association and its committee over the past 12 months. I am going to concentrate a little bit of the time. I've got about kind of 10 minutes or so for this. We have been working on some governance review more than the last 12 months, and it was mentioned at the last AGM. So I will spend a little bit of time because there are some changes I need to present formally to the meeting. But what I'll do initially before that is just run through a few other kind of updates on alumni work over the past year. So we have an alumni citizen communication, which is sent out bi-monthly via email, which keeps all alumni that we've got signed up and registered for communication informed with what's happening at the university. If you're not getting that for any reason, if you go to the alumni section of the university website, you can add yourself to the database to receive that. And I'd very much encourage anyone to do that if they don't already. The Festival of Change programme sees ongoing engagement, and we've had lots of topics covered with events and speakers over the past 12 months. And as you can see, there's a link that will be available also and post the meeting on the alumni section of the website, where you can view videos of all of those events that have happened over the last 12 months. Also, we have one coming up in a couple of weeks. We've got the annual Alumni and Friends Day, which this year is taking place on Saturday, the 30th of September, as part of a broader event being hosted at the Botanical Gardens called Autumn Fest. Everyone's welcome. There's lots going on for all ages on that day. So if you are able to get to Leicester on the 30th of September, again, you can view all the information about that event on the alumni website. And we'd certainly encourage, and there's Kelly popping that in the chat, all the information there. Encourage anyone to come along that can do. In terms of the Alumni Association Committee, so one change that we've continued with in the last year, we have a broad representation from alumni based in all parts of the world now, which has been something I've been really proud of over the kind of 4 years that I've chaired the committee, is that we've really broadened that diversity, and now we have hybrid committee meetings. So whilst we do meet physically in Leicester for people that can make it, we also allow people to join virtually via technologies similar to this one, which very much allows us to make sure that we really are hearing the alumni voice from everyone, wherever they're located in the world, and that's something personally that's very important to me, and I know is very important to the committee. We've also got a very engaged committee at the moment. It's a full committee, although I did just notice a pop-up about engagement opportunities. I will be covering that again later on in the meeting. But yes, we have an engaged alumni committee. We do have some opportunities to get involved with that, which I'll be highlighting later on. And then, of course, the thing that I'm going to spend a few minutes on is just talking about a governance review. So those that have attended the AGM last year and perhaps even the year before will have known that when I took this role of chair, I've been in this role for 4 years now. It was established that there were some issues with our governance documentation and things. It had been in place for a long time, and it wasn't really because of changes with the university. It wasn't really kind of something that was appropriate or fit for purpose. So what we did, we embarked on a governance review, and we opened a can of worms in many senses. So there's been a lot of work going on. Myself and colleagues, current colleagues actually, Linda White, who was my vice chair on the committee before she stepped down last year, been working over the last few years to redesign our governance documentation. And one of the key things with that was to ensure that the Alumni Association retains representation at the highest level of university governance. I believe that's very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask to move on to the slides, and I'm going to really run you through. I can't run you through all the documents, so they will be uploaded on the website in due course, but I'm going to run you a few of the key things that are going to be kind of changing to better our governance documentation and secure our kind of representation at the highest level of the university's governance tree. So the Alumni Association represents all alumni and honorary graduates of the university, and on behalf of the Alumni Association, the Alumni Association Committee manages the business of the association. So we have a constitution that outlines the purpose, role, and governance. The Alumni Association currently nominates one member of the committee to represent the Alumni Association on the university's council. For those that aren't aware, the university's council is its most senior governance body. It could be called university board, it could be called the kind of board of governors. So that is a series of that's a number of people that are drawn both from the university senior management and also then lay members that are drawn from the community, local business. And there is an Alumni Association representative on there. A review's been taking place, this says since 2021, and that's when we hone down into the specifics, but to amend our governance arrangements to ensure that in order for us to keep that Alumni Association representation at the highest level of university governance, because of broader changes to governance scrutiny to universities, we have to ensure that the arrangements for an Alumni Association representative are, rigorous enough to match the compliance issue that the university has from a broad governance perspective. Because as the arrangements were, that wasn't quite the case. The university weren't really happy with that, and they wanted to work with us to ensure we could achieve that representation, but remain compliant with the broader requirements. So move on to the next slide. So the changes surround, really the substantive changes that we're making surround the Alumni Association representative's appointment to the University's Council, and also the appointment of the chair of the Alumni Association, as well as some minor amendments. The changes have all been developed in consultation with the university's governance team, including the most senior member of that, the university registrar, and have been considered over a number of meetings over the past couple of years. So the University Nominations Committee, which is a committee that really kind of is part of the process that recommends all of the changes to the university's most senior governing body, have nominated what I'm going to propose what I'm going to say to you to the University's Council. These changes will be adopted to the university's ordinances, which are really the kind of Bible really of university governance. And these changes will be introduced, all being well, from the start of the next academic year. So in terms of the proposals around the Alumni Association's representative to council, the Alumni Association moving forwards, the Alumni Association Committee will propose a nominee to represent the Alumni Association on the university's council. That nominee would then be subject to the same due diligence checks which all lay members of council are required to complete. Following this, the nominee will be presented to the Nominations Committee for recommendation prior to formal approval by council. If that nomination is not approved, the reasoning for that will be provided to the Alumni Association Committee, and they will be asked to nominate an alternative member. Now, it's important to say that this is really just to ensure that the rigour required in the nominations process is per the CUC code. So this is all about ensuring the compliance with the broader requirements that the university have to meet, but absolutely maintaining that Alumni Association voice on University Council. The term of office on council of this person would run alongside their membership of the Alumni Association Committee, and they would be a member of the Alumni Association Committee, and that will continue until their term on council is ended. But these are really technical points that, that person will be nominated by the Alumni Association Committee anyway. So in a slightly different note, because one of the things that the Alumni Association Committee were very keen on is that whilst we accept that there needs to be this level of kind of university governance scrutiny on the appointment of the Alumni Association representative to University Council, we believe as a group that it's very important that the chair of the Alumni Association is chosen solely by the Alumni Association and scrutinised by those, because we are, in many senses, although we've completely aligned the university, there's a level of, kind of independence in a sense. So it's proposed that the candidates for the role of chair will be nominated from the whole Alumni Association and will require a proposer and seconder. The Alumni Association Committee will then consider all nominations at its next meeting and approve the chair if there was only one nomination. If more than one nomination was received, an election of the committee would take place, and the Governance Office have agreed that they would support that process, and that would, as is the case now, be approved by the AGM. What this will do by reaching out to the broad Alumni Association is help widen the pool of candidates, which we think will be beneficial moving forward, and ensure that we've got the very best alumni leading the Alumni Association. To enable a smooth transition, it's proposed that any new chair, and this is a change, will be appointed and take the role of chair-elect 1 year prior to the formal commencement of the role as chair. This is something that I'm very supportive of. It's a you know, when I took this role, it was a big thing to take on. There's lots involved on lots of university committees, etc. So having a process where there's a kind of handhold for a year before taking on that process fully is a really positive change, and something that we believe will allow the person that is the chair of the Alumni Association to really hit the ground running when they start having to take on that role. There are a couple of additional minor amendments that we're making. So those are, we're going to reduce the number of members required for a meeting of the AA to be current from 50 to 30. We're going to change the reporting line of the Alumni Association committees to the People, EDI and Wellbeing Committee. The chair of the Alumni Association is going to report annually to the University Council on the work of the Alumni Association. And then if there was a vacancy on the Committee of Council, which is designated for the Alumni Association, then the Alumni Association would be responsible for nominating a further member. These are all small technical minor amendments that we are making. So that provided a summary of the governance work, and that will all be going online. On there will be if some contact details for myself. So if there's anyone's got any further questions, then that would be more than welcome. Just to wrap up my presentation, just want to talk about a couple of other key highlights, though, that have happened over the last 12 months. So obviously graduations, we've had, as the Vice-Chancellor alluded to, nearly 5,000 students graduate and join our alumni community across the ceremonies in 22-23. Great alumni presence at graduations. I want to thank all of my colleagues on the Alumni Association that have joined graduations and supported our new alumni in their journey into our community. We've had some great engagement. We've had videos with a 360 photo booth of new graduates celebrating their graduations. Alumni Association representation at the graduation ceremonies on the front row of the stage, and also visibility in the graduation screens, the graduation brochure. So really trying to keep the alumni message at the front and centre of the graduations. Also, as reference, we had our Alumni Awards dinner in 2023, which will be happening again in 2024. Last year it was in London. It was a brilliant event, 150 sellout event, had people from all over the world attending. We also, obviously, as I've mentioned a number of times, had our Chancellor joined us, Vice-Chancellor joined us. We had notable alumni Chris Warburton, who's a BBC radio presenter, join us. Alumni ranging from 1962 to 2023. So a brilliant event, and this will be coming back for 2024. In 2024, it will be in Leicester. We're going to alternate Leicester to London, so really looking forward to that event this year. In terms of the Alumni Awards, this has been referenced, but this is just a summary. This is a really important part of the work that we do. It's very important that we recognise the great work of our alumni, and this is a summary. I won't read each one. This is a summary of our award winners at different stages in their lives and careers for different things, different types of success, whether it's volunteering, community work, whether it's career success. Brilliant that we can recognise all of these fantastic alumni and the work that they do to contribute to society in various different ways. So I am now going to hand over to the Treasurer of the Alumni Association Committee, Simon Green, to give a brief report on the finances of the committee over the past year. So over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Martin. Not a lot of people actually know too much about the funds that we look after, but as you can see from the current screen, there are two. There's the Convocation Fund and the William Ruddick Fund. First of all, the Convocation Fund is largely a broad brush fund that we have a fair amount of discretion with in what we projects we choose to back, and this is the one that I'll mainly concentrate on with the presentation. The William Ruddick Fund supports a small number of postgraduate bursaries in a couple of schools within the university, and there are quite fairly stringent processes to go to get to those. But it's mainly the Convocation Fund that I will, as I say, focus on. Now, over the course of the last year, the figures of the funds are now standing at, for the Convocation Fund, £57,089, and for the William Ruddick Fund, £46,183. So this represents an increase on the closing balance of previous year of in excess of 2%. So I'm sure, given the turbulence over the last year, you'll agree that the management of these funds is pretty reliable, really. Another important aspect to point out is that with the Convocation Fund, there was actually a donation of £10,000 from the estate of the late Mrs. Jean Humphreys. And if there are any representatives of Jean's estate here today or her friends and family, I'd like to express my gratitude to you once again for this. So broadly speaking, matters are looking healthy. Now, there's two areas that I really want to focus on with the Convocation Fund. And firstly, these are the projects that we've supported in the last 2 years. So last year, we actually supported a COVID-based project that was a multidisciplinary, I don't know what to say really, endeavour by several schools. Essentially, it was a project that looked at the attitude of students really towards the COVID vaccination. And what it was aiming to do is to sort of get under the skin of it really, assess what the perception of students was towards the vaccination, and produce some research to see if official guidelines, advice could be tailored specifically to ensure that more students uptake the COVID vaccine. Essentially, it's in the interest of everybody. So that for me was, well, it's life-saving, and we were very happy to get behind that. And the aspect we were able to support was the actual survey amongst students of several £1,000s. This year, we have backed a project by Sport and Active Life. So essentially, what we're funding is sports and first aid qualifications by our students. They then, as a result of obtaining this funding, need to go into schools in the local community and undertake several hours of coaching, teaching activities. So essentially, it's to raise the participation and the performance of sport and associated disciplines such as first aid in local schools. So again, what we're really looking to do with these is to benefit our students, but also strongly benefit the local community as well, and also attract the best publicity we can for the Alumni Association. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, these are quite meagre funds, but what we're keen to do is make them go as far as they can by adding to an existing project a specific element of it, and attract match funding. So what I would say is if any of you out there do have any ideas for the project for the forthcoming year, something that can benefit students and our local communities, please do reach out to me. The second aspect I'm going to touch on, and I've already highlighted the £10,000 donation from Jean Humphreys, is that if any of you or anyone that you know would consider making a donation to the fund, both now or as a legacy bequest, please do reach out. As you can see, with as I've highlighted, with very limited funds, I think we've been able to make a real tangible difference, really, in the name of yourselves, the alumni. So really, that's pretty much it from me. I'm happy with how healthy the finances are, and I'm happy with what we've been able to achieve over the last couple of years. And any thoughts, questions, please get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Again, if anyone, obviously these documents will be uploaded to the alumni section of university website. If anyone does have any questions for Simon, then as he's mentioned, I'm sure he'll be very happy to answer those. So we're coming towards the end of the meeting. I'm aware we're running fast towards 7 o'clock. So we have one more formal item of business, which is to so this has been passed by the Alumni Association committee, but just to pass formally for the approval of the AGM, the committee movements for this year. So I'll just run through them. So on the Alumni Association committee, the Students' Union president is an automatically co-opted member, and Archie Robinson, who's the Students' Union president, who took post in July, is to be co-opted to the Alumni Association committee for the period of 12 months. We also have some re-election of some current members. So Kim Holloway, who is a current co-opted member, Kim has been proposed for a further year of co-option to the committee. We also have the re-election to be 4 members for a 3-year term of Arno, Charles, and Bob. So the committee delighted to put forward those re-elections. And then the other piece of business on this that I'd like to note is that Lucas Stahl, who has been on the Alumni Association Committee for 3 consecutive terms for 9 years since 2014, does have to step down for a period of at least 12 months. Lucas has been a joint vice chair of the committee for the past year. Lucas is heavily engaged with alumni as president of the American board of the American Friends, and will be remaining heavily involved in alumni work. But a formal thank you to Lucas on his stepping down the committee for a period of time. But yeah, so I'm proposing these appointments to the AGM. This will mean that the maker of the committee is as displayed on the screen. We've not had any comments on this. The Alumni Association Committee have approved this. I'm seeing some nodding heads, so I will take this as approved and thank the AGM for that. On a similar note, there've been a couple of questions. This will be the last piece of business tonight. People asking about engagement opportunities. There are lots of engagement opportunities to get involved with alumni. There's volunteering programs. There's lots of things that can be looked at. But one thing that we are looking for, we do have a couple of spaces to co-opt members for an initial year term on the Alumni Association Committee. There's going to be a link shared in the chat with a kind of form to fill in to do that. This link will also be uploaded onto the Alumni Association website pages. If you are interested in that, please do fill that in. And those expressions of interest, people will be reached out to and given some more information. But it's very important that we keep a vibrant pipeline of alumni joining the work that we do, whether it's the committee, whether it's the volunteering. So please, I guess as a final message, as a university alumni association, but the broad team as well, the staff team, we really do want to harness enthusiasm to engage with the university's kind of alumni work. So please do absolutely reach out to us if you would like to get more involved, and we'd really love to have you on board. So I'm conscious I've ran slightly over, and people are probably looking forward to going in and getting some dinner. So all that I'm left to do is to thank everyone for their attendance this evening. It's been really well attended event, which has been fantastic. Thank you to my colleagues on the Alumni Association for their work over the past year. Thank you to all the staff team in the Development Alumni Relations Office for their support of the committee and myself over the past year. And also, of course, as I've mentioned earlier, to the Vice-Chancellor, the Chancellor, or all the other members of the senior university team that support the work of alumni and ensure it's embedded in the university's mission. So I am now going to bring the 65th annual meeting of the Alumni Association to a close. Wish you all a great evening and look forward to seeing you again next year, or hopefully before, at an alumni event. Thank you very much, guys.